What's happening, guys? Happy New Year. This is the first scan for 2021. We've got a lot to talk about. I'm going to try to jam it in as much and as quickly as possible, but as you guys know, sometimes they end up 47 minutes. It's not my intent. My intent is to do this in like 30, 35, but sometimes those bullet points, the conversational points, they just keep on expanding, and I just run with it. So sometimes it is what it is, but hopefully you guys enjoy it. For the most part, everybody usually leaves some great feedback, no matter how long it is. So, as always, leave your key takeaway. But what I want this time, hopefully, is your 3 key changes, your 3 key goals of 2021. What is it that you're looking to do? I'm going to share mine today. I'm going to share some of the changes that I'm going to make. I'm going to share some of the kind of reset buttons that you guys should be hitting if you need to, and just some general thoughts that I think will help you out on the year. So first and foremost, if you guys watched Scan last week or the week before, you guys know what particular stock I was swing trading. And it happened to be my biggest trade in 17 years. It was a great way to end the year, and I couldn't be happier with the way that it played out. I could have done a little bit better. I was a little bit too cautious with the sells. I didn't want to just hammer it down. I had so many. And also, because I only took off so many, then, the P&L swing on the pullback, I just started to getting stressed. And I was like, you know what? It is a great trade. It's my biggest one ever. I'm happy with it. So I did trim down, but I do think that the trade is going to continue to work. I'll probably be upset that I even sold any in the first place, but it is what it is. And my goal as a trader personally is to keep that stress level down. And when every penny or every dime is a house, then, my stress level starts to go up, and I start to focus on that. And I'm not looking at, everything else that I should be. So that's why I took a little bit of risk off. I wanted to kind of rezone in my risk, reallocate funds to different areas, and continue to expand or at least diversify the cash in that account. So this particular trade I made in the IRA, I'm continuing to build that IRA. I have some adjustments to do to it over the new year, just because I want to change it into a different style account. Like I said in a prior video like this, anybody that does have an IRA should check. I know TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, and E-Trade, which is where I'm at, offers margin for the IRA. Not margin in the sense that you get 4-to-1 from a typical broker, but margin in the sense that you don't have to wait for the money to clear. And that was a game changer for me, because a lot of times you make these swing trades and then it's got to wait 2 days for the cash to settle, and then maybe you take that one more trade and you're doing it on unsettled funds, so you have to hold that trade, and then you make bad decisions, right? You're like, I don't want to strike on my account because I bought it with unsettled funds. The only way I can sell it is to take a strike, and then I might end up being restricted for 90 days. I get it, and so anyway, this takes that away. And it's literally just a cash account, and you can day trade it, and it's amazing. But I would not suggest to do that if you're not consistently profitable, if you're not somebody who has proven consistency. If you are somebody that's just starting out, it's a great way to waste this basically non-taxed account as your learning curve. I'd rather see somebody do that with a real cash account that's not an IRA, that you could at least capture the losses at some point in the future and not waste the money that's in there. So new year, new you. Okay, we talk about this a lot, that day one is better than one day. Everybody always uses the excuses, push it off. This is what I'm going to do in the new year. This is I'm going to start this on January 1st. Whatever it is, whatever you need to do to feel better, to make those decisions, to make those changes, fine. Here we are. So now it's up to you to actually do it. And I think that a lot of people have the issue of getting to a certain level and pulling back and then needing to get there, right? And I think you'd be surprised if you stop paying attention so much to your equity. And, you know, I have my buying power on my accounts, and yeah, I could easily just, you know, kind of take it down and divide it by 4 and say, okay, well, my account's at X. And I don't, my eyes are not trained to check my equity. The only times that I kind of check my equity is probably midday when I'm heavily positioned and I want to see where I'm at buying power wise. And for the most part, my eyes don't, in the morning, I'm not like, okay, I have this divided by 4, so my account's X. But I think you'll be surprised, because what a lot of people do is they you know, you might be at your 50K mark, 100K mark, or a million. And you start trading for that, right? You're at 98,000, you just want to get over 100,000. You're at 980,000, you just want to get over $1 million. You're at 4.8 million, you need to get to 5. 9.8 million, you need to get to 10. And so the good part about this year, this new year, is it all restarts. So you're no longer chasing that level. You're no longer, oh, I just want to get back to where I was earlier in the year. It's all reset. It's all reset. If that's the mind game that you need to play, it's time. And so I think that it's important to understand what you have today is what you have. And if you trade well, it's only going to grow from there. A lot of people look at where they were and always try to get back to that level. And, you know, look at the highs on the year, look at the highs on the account, whatever it may be. But use this reset as a reset for you if you need it. And, you know, I realize that not everybody had a record year. However, a lot of people did. And it's easy to, even if you had a record year, you're facing the same thing as somebody else that didn't, because you know somebody that made more. You feel like you could have done more. And, you know, you want to get to that next level on the year. Well, it's all reset. Now it's time for you to rezone in, next, rezone, refocus, and move along. So, as I say a lot, no matter what, no matter who you are, you know, you think you want to get to X, guess what? It always changes. The goalpost always changes. So when you get there, you know what? Things are going to change. Your view on things are going to change. Your view on money is going to change. And, you know, I think that as you progress as a trader, you'll see this. But I'm telling you right now, if you're always focused on X, 2X, 5X, 10X, you will never be happy. And you're never going to get there, because there always changes. I can assure you of that. I know it firsthand. And, you know, you need to realize that today so that you can really excel and exponentially gain or at least grow as a trader. Otherwise, you're never going to be happy. Look at all the people online. The traders that focus on process the most are the happiest. Look at all the negativity. Look at all the traders that are always complaining. And it's because, you know, they either aren't getting there, or because they're always focused on something more and they're never getting there, because that goalpost always changes. Surround yourself with the best of the best of the best. That's what it's all about. You're not going to be the best in all avenues, all arenas, all everything, okay? There's always going to be somebody faster than you, better than you, and more knowledgeable than you in different areas. And it's up to you to, you know, figure that out. Figure out what your weaknesses are. Figure out what your strengths are. You use your strengths, help somebody else that has that as their weakness, who has a strength that you want. And that's how the world goes round. If you want help, show that you're trying. Show that, don't just ask, hey, what do you think of XYZ? When you talk to somebody, when you're looking for advice, when you're looking for a second opinion, don't say, hey, XYZ question mark, what do you think? No, you offer your thoughts. Show that you have actually gone through the work. You have gone through having a thought process about what the trade could potentially do. You have a potential trade plan. Share that, and you'll get a lot better feedback, and people will bend over backwards more than you can imagine. Than just if you are like, hey, XYZ question mark? It's just, nobody wants to help that person. let's see. I'm going to go over a couple charts in the next segment. Once again, key levels is so clutch. We had that as BTBT on Friday. That was a big thing. Offerings right now are getting bought. You know, you saw that with Plug. You saw that with NNDM. You saw that with TCON, I think, TCON. Let me just double check. Yes, TCON. So it's a different market than, you know, you might have seen in the past. And not all offerings are the same. You know, when you've got legit real companies versus these small caps that have, you know, an ugly offering price plus warrants, there's a difference there. So if you're one of those people that sees offering and thinks short, you know, be careful out there. So last but not least, before I get into the stocks, 2021 21 focus for me is, one is be present more. Personally, I always need to do that because I am just like flying around. And, you know, you see me doing everything during the day. For those of you guys in the room, a lot of times I get messages like, how the hell are you doing all of this? And I get it, but it's because I just don't shut off, right? So I personally am going to be working on that a lot more. Recheck in with priorities, right? So this is, you know, you gotta find that balance, right? Again, you'll never be happy if you don't, and it's always going to be there. And I think that the excuse for me last year was, this is like a 99-2000 market, right? So once in a lifetime. It literally was a life-changing year for many people. Total game changer. For me, it was life-changing, total game changer, unexpected, and, you know, exponential versus prior years. And to me, if I can work hard and I could set myself up for the next, you know, for my life, then it was worth that hard work and, you know, hardly a day off, actually no days off except maybe one half day. And the thing is what if it does that for another year and another year, right? And if we never look at, you know, the other side, or taking a little bit of time off, or focusing on, you know, how we can better the process, maybe get off the screens a little bit more and all that kind of stuff, it's going to be 10 years and I'm going to have a lot of regrets. So that's another one for me, but I have to recognize that it was worth it for me in 2020. It was a game changer year. 3, continue consistency with workouts. I've talked a lot about Avidity Fitness, my buddy Zach, and staying fit, or at least active with him. So I've remained active, but not aggressively active like I was prior to having baby number 2. Now, it's still tough, obviously, with COVID, but I have a home gym, and I have no excuse to not pick it up a notch. And I can always get better. You can always get better. So for me, that's number 3. And not necessarily just continue with workouts, but pick it up a notch. Get to that next level and get back to where I was. You know, just consistency, not necessarily gains wise, but just like continuing to crush it every single day like I was prior. And last but not least, continue the consistency with food. And you guys might laugh at that as, you know, like, what does that matter? But how many times have you been at your desk and you literally haven't gotten up until 4 p.m. and then that's when you find your first food, and maybe you don't have food in the fridge, maybe you don't have things going on, and you just go through the cupboards and eat something crappy, right? So, you know, I always say there's always a better way. And so I talked about meal prep company that I had, that I use regularly. And then after I did that video, I had just mentioned it quietly, you know, in passing. And so I was Todd from Icon Meals reached out to me and was like, hey, you know, give us a shot. Like, you'll be very impressed. And he wasn't lying. I've never had better meals. The price is perfect. And, you know, it's a game changer. So I actually switched companies, and Icon Meals is now my food. I get 21 meals per week. So I get 3 per day, you know, and you can do as much or as little as you want. But they literally, you just put them in the microwave and you've got a great meal. You can go as clean as you want or as, high calorie as you want. But, if you want to eat clean and keep that energy, then, that's what I would suggest. And like I said, there's always a better way. These guys were way better than anything I've ever had. And I think that number 3 and 4 being workouts and food, the key here is energy, right? The more you work out, you create energy. You create more energy so that you can go out throughout the day and focus. And the same thing with food. Without it, you don't have energy. You don't have that extreme focus that you need to better yourself as a trader. And by the end of the day, you're going to feel like crap because you didn't move, because you didn't have the time to go and create a meal from scratch. Well, with these, put it in the microwave, eat it. It's awesome. So be present more, recheck in with priorities, making sure that, I don't do the same thing that I did in 2020 for the next couple of years, even if the market stays hot, because we've only got one life. 3 is workouts, creating energy, and 4 is food, maintaining energy. So those are my focus for 2021. And again, as far as changes that you can make, I already went over those as far as trading related. And I think that you'll be very impressed with what happens. If you guys have any questions with workouts with Zach, reach out to me, webmaster@investorsunderground.com. We do them on Saturday and Sunday, and we do them on Tuesday and Thursday. I think you guys would enjoy it. If you guys have any questions about the food, I don't get anything for it. It's not an affiliate type situation. I'm not being paid for it or anything like that. I don't do that on here. I'm just sharing with you the best tools that, just like Broker, just like the platform, Dash Trader, just like whatever I use, Trade Ideas. All of these things are because I use them, I like them, and they're the best of the best. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to put you in touch with who you need to be in touch with. But I just want to see other people succeed as well. All right, guys. So for the second part of the scan, first off, the t-shirt winners. One is Jerry. Yes, wife is always right. So I should have bought Bitcoin when the wife wanted to. Otherwise, it wouldn't have moved 15,000 points or whatever you call it without me. So that is definitely a key takeaway. And also, we'll do Andy Win for a second shirt. Reach out to me, webmaster@investorsunderground.com. And again, leave your key takeaway today on, not your key takeaway, your 3 key goals for 2021. What is it that you're going to make as a change? What is it that you're going to try to do as a trader to become, or at least make 2021 your best year ever? And I think that's going to be more powerful this time instead of the key takeaway, because I think you'll be able to see all these different traders focus and where they're at, and maybe you can pull one off somebody else's list. So you can jot it down. You can write 10 of them if you want, but leave your top 3 changes or goals for 2021. I'd love to see them. I'd love to highlight them. And we'll give out even more shirts next week because, why not? So first and foremost, before we get into the scan, I wanted to go over a couple setups. So, this WBAI, I currently have a position. I sold some of it on Friday or Thursday. I'm going to probably say Friday a lot, but when I say Friday, I mean Thursday because Friday was closed. But WBAI, it was an idea in the room, and had a great trade this day right over here where it went nuts. It went into a couple circuit halts. What I saw after that was the price started to hold, right? So what we want to see, I call this a cleanup day. And a cleanup day to me is when that huge buyer comes in and they take a position. But everybody's like, oh, this is great, it's going to go to the moon, and the buyer took their position. And now they're going to wait, and they're waiting. Let all these momentum chasers sell out, and then they're going to start to position in the rest of the way. So they take that initial position. Maybe they want, let's just say, 2 million shares. So they buy 1 million shares as fast as possible. Because if they sit there on bid and try to buy 1 million shares, it's just going to run it up all day. But by buying a lot real fast, you create liquidity. You create this move where everybody gets all excited, and then it starts to come back down, and you have that ability to buy if that's your intent, in my opinion. And that's what I think happened here. You had that cleanup day where it literally, they come in, and what happens is it gives everybody a chance. If they were going to sell, they sold, right? Because they bought, and they bought maybe a long time ago. They finally get break even. They sell, then they're like, oh, I should have sold, I should have sold, I should have sold. They finally bail. And that's what they want to happen right here. If it just continued, if it continued to go straight up, then these people would be, it's just like if you were averaging down and averaging down and averaging down, at some point you're going to have all this stock, and you're going to be up so much, everybody's going to make money. So the goal is they clean it up, and then everybody sells if they were going to sell, and then they slowly start to pick back up. And the idea, in my eyes, is that if you're going to sell, you sold because it looked dead for a couple of days. And then they carry on with the buy program or whatever it may be. So this was a fantastic swing. I did not have as much as I would have liked to. Obviously, when it works this way, you always wish you had more. But truly, I should have had even more than I did. But either way, I had a mid-5 average, and it went over 10. And I mean, it's great. This market's great. You just have to follow the trend. So sometimes when you see these huge candles, don't take them off radar if they continue to hold the next couple days. And there's a couple of these that I'll go over today on the scan that kind of show that. One other thing I want to talk about was BTBT, which on Thursday, we talked about in the room, and I wrote the key levels, and I think that it's very important for you guys to draw those lines and see, exactly where the consolidation is, exactly where you should assume a name is going to hold trend. Just because it breaks below support level does not mean that it's time. You have to assume it's going to come back up and over. And you see that. It breaks under it a couple times, but it never holds under it. Anytime that I want to get short, anytime that I want to let a trade work, I want to see it fail and fail and fail and have lower highs. So that's a great example of it. Great commentary in the room. I got a lot of feedback on Thursday from that, saving a lot of people from, the whole ad type situation. And we might be in for a crazy move given the Bitcoin move on this one. Couple other things. Ant, you guys know this one. I've been talking about it for quite some time. In the 130s, it's been on Sunday Video Scan for quite a while. And again, just noticing that trend, noticing where people are absorbing. The top was pretty much 130s. It got over there. They're still buying the dips. And then we had a nice breakout on Thursday. And so, this thing took off, and it was great, and it continued to rip. It actually ripped after hours too. Let me get there. Right here. Then came in a little bit. But the only thing that stopped this thing was, once again, a newsletter put all their sheep in right at the top, which it's going to happen. They always come in and ruin plays. But I like how it held throughout the day. I sold some, but I'm continuing to, let that trade work just in case. But it's the same thesis as, MSN that we've talked about for quite some time. You see the buyer in the tape. If you need to, you could just draw the line if you guys have difficulty seeing the buyer in the tape. And obviously you should assume each time it ramps up, and bust over this 115, 120, I've been selling. But you can see that until it starts to pretty much base over 120s, I'm going to remain a seller. If it starts to base at 120s, then I'd probably start to size in because of the padding that I have. So same situation, same kind of thought process, expect it to fail, but when it goes, it's one of those that could really go. Last couple notes, RMG had a huge move. It's now RMO. What I've noticed here, and same thing with DNMR, you guys saw the trade from the 35s pre-market, and it was on CNBC. they were talking about it, and it just, it went up on air. Very dangerous trade if you're trading the front side of the move, no doubt. But there was still plenty, there was a seller here at 33, continued to fade off. But we also had the same thing with DM after the name change. So, this is the same kind of setup coming into the new name change, and, once it stops going up, it unwinds. And if it sells off into it, in XL's case, then you need to watch, this was the XL case, you need to watch how it reacts. So you had the same kind of situation, but it held, and it busted that prior top, and then we had the squeeze day. So, this works and has worked, but once again, you have to make sure that you have risk in check. So obviously be careful of that. FUBO, swing short, you guys know where my head was at. That was on the video scan. As I said, I was swinging it short from the high 50s. Just beautiful unwind. And I think that's pretty much it. I had a comment about, snow, understanding cycles, just like QS. They cycle into names, cycle out of names, cycle back in. So you always need to be looking for relative strength versus peers and relative weakness versus peers. I think that's going to help you guys out a lot. But let's get right into a scan. And as always, this is obviously for informational and educational purposes only. These are my plans. This is what I'm looking to do. My goal is just to hopefully educate you in a manner that makes you a better trader. None of these obviously are buy or sell recommendations. And as always, we always put the disclaimer before I start talking about what I am looking to do with them. And so let's get right into it. BNGO, insane. After hours, shorts are pretty squeezed out, and who knows? We could have a gap up to 455, 6. It's possible. I don't know. I don't care. I don't have a position. I'm waiting to see what happens. I think it's going to be a popular one. I think that a lot of people could probably benefit by not having this on radar. I think a lot of people will be looking for the trade, and I think it's going to take a lot of attention from other ones that are going to be A+ and layup type trades. So be cautious of that. Recognize the key areas. You can just do a quick doodle here and see that pretty much 4 and 430s is going to be the first key. Maybe if you went a little bit wider, 380s. So for the most part, if you're new, maybe you should wait until 380s fails and fails and fails and fails and continues to fail, and then you might be able to risk something based off of 420s or whatever setup that you see. But be cautious being on the front side of the trade. I think a lot of people are bent here. I think a lot of people are sized to the gills. This is a very easy trade to trade 200, 300, 400, 500, a million shares. It's very easy. You can get in and out, no problem. But after hours, it kind of showed that it also has wings. And the thing about after hours is you can blow up a lot of, people that are not well capitalized or oversized, they're going to run you out of money. And that's what they can do at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning too. So anybody that, did not take care of, the risk and respect the move, they're in trouble. And you can also see draw a line over here from this morning move, and then starts to break out over that level. We get that squeeze. But great commentary in the room. Just like I said on Friday, was not short biased. Expect the unexpected. And what we talked about on the broadcast pre-market was the fact that these types of situations, 265 was your key level, and as much as, yes, it faded off and closed relatively weak, they saved it. And when it came back up to that key level, which was the 265, if it started to base at that 265, like I said in the room, don't underestimate it, because everybody is on the other side of that trade. And, you just have to be super cautious. And so we're going to see what happens. We could go 4, 5, we could go 6. But I want to have an open mind on it, and I don't need to find the top. When a stock goes from 50 cents to $5, $4, whatever, you're still going to have $1 or $2 of downside after the initial crack, after the initial pullback. You don't need to be 50 cents, $1, $2, $3 too early. So BTBT, whether I trade this one or not, I don't know yet. This is going to be one of those where it'll be a game time decision. I'm thinking that we could potentially open well over 25, maybe even higher, then come back in, trap, and do something silly like 35, 40, something like that. There was nonstop buying for 45 minutes to an hour into the close. I felt like somebody was getting bought in, but I also think that there's probably some new blood, some new shorts. And as I said in the room, don't forget you have 3 days of exposure on Bitcoin, right? Just like Christmas, you had 3 days of exposure. So that's a lot of time for Bitcoin to either break out or break down. And, right now, obviously it broke out, but you have to know, what you're potentially up against as well. Riot, same thing. Fantastic trade, great trade in the room. Got the full fade there. You can see nice fail off VWAP there and continued to fade off and was weak into close. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of shorts on this trade as well, because why not? Finally broke down, but maybe didn't put into consideration 3-day weekend, 3 days of exposure on Bitcoin. Guess what? Bitcoin went crazy. So this thing could potentially open over 20s. It's been a phenomenal trader. I'm going to wait for it to set up, but I'll likely be trading that one rather aggressively because it has been a good trader. I've been wrong on it a few times, but the best thing that I've done is stop out, wait for higher, wait for a better setup. Because when I do get that setup, get the whole thing, get the whole unwind on Friday and or Thursday. And the reason is because I had stopped out earlier when I was wrong. Had I stayed wrong, I would have missed that full unwind. This next section, failed follow through, right? So this is me not trying to find the top. I am just looking for it to go up. And once it stops going up and it puts in a lower high, I want to be part of that pullback. So IPOC, you could see that there's, it's obvious. There's a buyer on the tape. We talked about it. So I've been there the last couple days and, faded it and it was a nice trade, but I didn't take it because I'm looking to add if 1580s and 1550s fail. But they didn't, came back up, so I covered. But I'm going to be looking, it's had a nice run so far and it can continue to run. But I feel like this is very retail crowded. And that's why I've been watching, because the day that it does pull back, it's going to pull back $2. And I want all of it. But you have to be willing to wait. You can't be saying to yourself, oh, well, it has to pull back. No, it doesn't. It could go 17, 18, 19. It could go 20. But when 1580s has trouble, when 1550s has trouble, we're going to have that fade, in my opinion, sub 14, 1380s, 1350s. And it's going to be a nice $2 per share trade. And I want to be there for it. So I don't want to pre-exhaust myself, but I want to stay familiar with it. DNMR, so far so good. This was LOAK, but higher the better. Continue to fade trend as long as it works until they start to pick up the pieces. Same thing with PLTR. I've been there every single day on the pops, and it's been very good. The couple key takeaways. You can see that there's been a lot of trouble in the 29 range, and then we talked about this last week, and then we had this base. So like I said, you should assume that it's going to base at 25, but once it starts to stay heavy at 25, you're going to have a lot of people on the wrong side of the trade. You're going to have those dip buyers becoming pop sellers. That's exactly what happened. So again, assume that it's going to go higher, but as soon as it stops and it fails, VWAP, 9:45, 10 a.m., whatever it may be, failed follow through momentum, I want to be there. FUBO, incredible. The lockup, I wish that I traded it a lot bigger. I had decent size. It was a great trade, but I definitely could have gone probably 3 times what I had. I let the trade work. It was from high 58s. I held it over that day, just like I said, and continued to scale into the trade, trading around that core, and then covered it all on Thursday. So phenomenal trade. Came back to where the squeeze started, and then unwound to about this 23 level is in my eyes a potential. It unwound back to where the actual squeeze started, but I think that it has the potential to come down into the 23 range and then we'll have that short covering rally. Everybody with the fear of missing out with the bounce back to 60, etc. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think that's what people will be trading it for. So assume that all pops fail for me. That's what my goal is, and then fail. Use failed follow through momentum as that trade. Once it starts to hold over VWAP on any given day, once it starts to have higher lows, then I'll be looking for the rally. I think it's very heavily shorted, so I think the only reason that it would bounce is just a little bit of a short cover, but I still think that it could flush out from here. LABD has been nice, nice little rebound. It is the opposite of LABU, but whenever these things start to rally, whenever there's a sign that LABU or biotech, all that kind of stuff is going to bounce, this thing's going to crater. So I want to be keeping an eye on that one, because it's usually a very clean, nice trade. Just get on the right side, wait, and it's $2, $3 per share. IPI, this one nice breakout, big squeeze over this 14 level, which was the chart breakout, consolidated. The prior resistance became support, breaks out, took off. So I traded a little bit on Thursday, didn't really turn into anything, but you can see a nice consolidation pattern here. So I'd be looking for a weak open, ideally comes into 2380s, starts to consolidate, base is 24, starts to push towards 25, scale into that trade, and if it starts to make a nice base at 2550s, 2560, 70s, I'd love to see a nice squeeze up towards the 30, 35 mark, something crazy like that. Great volume. Definitely can support it. Assume it doesn't until it breaks those lines that I just went over. And NNDM, this one I'm 0 for 2 on nailing the trade. It is what it is. I keep on missing that price alert, and this day right here I wanted it, and then again this day they just raised at 750. I think that everybody's in squeeze mode here, but I do think that it rechecks in with that pricing. I do think that we can go under that pricing. I do think that we'll go 750s, maybe down to 680s, 7s, something like that, and then just kind of consolidate for a while. But I do see that happening. I would like to be part of it. I don't want to lose it off radar. I will set price alerts. And let's switch gears into the continuation side of things. A couple OTCs, which may not interest anybody, but MSMY. I actually had this for almost 2 years, and then I ditched it in the 005s a while back. Oops. So I saw it. I saw it on scan the other day, so I went ahead and took a position. And nice save. Remember the wicks that we talk about right here. Nice save so far. So we'll see if it starts to base at 2 cents. Then we have the potential of continuation, but again, it's an OTC, so if you guys aren't familiar with it, then avoid it. COUV, you guys know where my head's at. I spelled out the trade at 2 cents to 5 cents per share, and like I said, it was the best trade I've ever made in my trading career. So still have a position, still positioned. Gonna let it work until it fails. I would assume that it might want to push a little bit more on Monday, then maybe consolidate for a couple days, couple weeks. So be cautious getting overly biased or overly bullish on it, but I would assume that it's going to need to consolidate for a little while. Last OTC that interested me, I had a position, or have a position. I just joined. You can see nice little breakout, consolidate, and I love this risk versus VWAP, and it ended up tripling. So this is the current OTC market, and I have no complaints with it, except that I normally should be trading bigger than I am. But it's the smaller money that just doubles and triples, and it adds up. And when you do actually play in a larger capacity, like COUV, and you literally get 1,000 to 2,000% move, then you have your record trades. And we went over, so ideally continuation a little bit. I still have a position there. I didn't sell it all, but you guys know, this is not an idea at this level. The idea, as you guys know, if you've paid any attention to scans, has been at the 130s. Tiger, you guys know this deal. I went over this maybe about a month ago, and I said that I was going to be positioning into dips with the thesis that we're going to have a Robinhood IPO in the first quarter of 2021. My goal was to buy dips and let this work into the first quarter of 2021. As long as a buyer was present and this buyer started to come in, and I've been adding since. We had that big swipe that I talked about on WBAI, where 1 million share or 1.8 million shares came in, swiped it all the way up to 8, and then they walked. You know, it was like nothing happened. And I was like, oh man, did I make a mistake? Did I get too excited? And then they came back. So they took their big position because they didn't want this thing to run away. So they took their big position, and now they're still going back. And so, you know, these are, the thing about these is when they turn, what did JMIA do, right? Then I actually compared this to JMIA. I compared Tiger to JMIA. They both IPO'd around the same time. They both had similar moves. They both faded off to zero. So, you know, I'm letting the trade work. We'll see what happens. I have a bigger, thought process in mind, but nothing has changed. And hopefully you guys were able to get a nice trade off there. At these levels, maybe it's still good, maybe it's not. But you guys had my thoughts. I spelled them out a lot lower. And, so we'll see how this progresses from here. But, hopefully the trade continues to provide as minimal headaches as possible. Last couple, ICON, no position at the moment. Like how it had all this big volume here, it is holding trend. It's retesting that level. So at this point, I want to assume that this level is going to fail. I want to assume that 130 is going to fail, but I'd like to position based off of this new kind of support, anticipating that it might break, and then I can add in more. But I want to make sure that it's in a size that I'm okay with. Same situation, EIGR, nice consolidation. I have a position there. LXU, same deal. These were all ideas on Thursday. Nice breakout. EQOS, another one from VideoScan last week. You guys should be familiar with that one. And I actually compared it to, how I felt like it was going to set up like Blink. And I posted that on Twitter. I posted my thoughts on it anyway. So I've been swinging this since, I think, a 10 range or so. So far, so good. I've taken profits along the way, but I'm holding a core because I do feel like, it could go nuts. And especially with the Bitcoin action this weekend, there's a good chance it opens at 18, 19, goes to 20. I don't know. But I feel like shorts are bent on this thing, and we could have some fun. So that's where my head's at. It's 2021. Stop making excuses. Surround yourself with the best traders out there. Surround yourself with the best friends you have. Make sure that you bend over backwards for them. They'll bend over backwards for you. Make it your best year ever. And the way that you can do that is by setting not monetary goals, not Lambo goals, and all this other crap that you see online. Stay away from P&Ls. It's good to be inspired. It's good to see what's possible. Without a doubt, I'm sure a lot of people were inspired as to what is possible, what people are making. What I thought could be possible eventually for me, maybe on an annualized basis, became, a monthly kind of thing for me. What I thought could be like a 3 or 5 or 10-year goal became last year. So anything is possible. And the point here is that as you progress as a trader, you'll realize, what you thought was impossible is possible. And it's just about having that foundation and that process of how to get there. And as long as you have a good process and a foundation, you can get there. But if you're always chasing that next one, chasing that goal, chasing that monetary, kind of goal level, whatever it may be, you will never be happy. You will likely fail. And trading is hard as it is. Most people fail at it. Maybe not in 2020, just because anything you bought went up. But even some of these people that are having their first years of success, if you look at some of their charts that they post and things, had this huge success and then they blew 80% of it and then they came back strong, right? Because they don't have a process, they don't have a foundation, they don't have an off switch. So if you start to chase your losers, you're going this way and fast. So be cautious, be careful out there. We'll see you in the room and have a great rest of the weekend.